FedRAMP can be super overwhelming. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Gabriela, and I am MindPoint Group's GRC Director, and I oversee all things governance, risk, and compliance. The next service offering that we provide is advisory services. So advisory services kind of mean a plethora of things. One, we can support the development of your documentation development and generation. And that means really developing your ATO package, your SSP, your contingency plan, your incident response plan, everything that you need to be able to go into the 3POW assessment, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and provide that ATO coverage for your implementation, documenting your implementation statements as required. Secondarily, advisory services can mean we'll help you understand what it takes to get through the process, understanding your roles and responsibilities in support of the agency. If you're going through an agency sponsorship program for your FedRAMP package and authorization, we can also ensure that you understand all of the requirements as you go through this process and work with your designated 3PAO. We can also provide recommendations and coming up with a strategy, right? Say your system is going for a significant change and you are looking to upgrade your categorization from a moderate to high. We have the ability to come in and advise and help you develop a strategy. And then last but not least, advisory services can also mean kind of very technical, fingers on keyboard. Today we have our security, architecture, and engineering team that can come in and say, configure your SIM solution so that you know all of your audit log requirements and different activities are being measured within your SIM. And then you have your ISOs or your appropriate security personnel have the ability to go ahead and monitor. So we have the ability to do configurations, support. We also have the ability to actually even offer other types of services, such as managed SOC as a service, or anything you can kind of think of when it comes to really supporting an agency or a specific organization. Well, because we have to have clear lines of security support services and that we do not introduce any conflicts of interest, you also have to have a separate 3PAL organization to actually come in and conduct your assessment services support. So if we are your advisory support, we cannot conduct your 3PAL assessment. However, it is often encouraged that you do have a 3PAL to serve as your advisory, since we're kind of the SMEs and understand the programs and also really understand what agencies need as you're going through an agency sponsorship, as well as understanding the JAB process across the board for any organization that might be leveraging your specific solution. So that last service where we're conducting your actual assessment support activity is we'll come in, we'll do the engagement. We have our pen tester, so we have a rules of engagement activity that takes place that designs exactly what all of the technical testing that's going to take place from a pen testing perspective, as well as the compliance team that's going to come in and assess those implementation statements. And we also conduct interviews, collect artifacts and evidence to ensure that your controls are implemented and meeting the intent of the minimum requirements as defined within 853. As of right now, we are all still living in the Rev 4 compliance world, so that's the baseline that we leverage. However, as new requirements get introduced, your 3PAL does work with you to assess those things, and that includes any additional testing requirements that may come from a pen testing perspective. And then last but not least, which is the end state to getting everyone into continuous monitoring, is you have a ConMon assessment. Once you have gone through your gap, you've received your 3PAL assessment, and you are officially authorized and posted and made available within the FedRAMP marketplace, you go into continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring basically takes your assessment schedule and breaks them down on kind of almost like a traditional 3-year assessment cycle. And that also includes if you have made any significant changes, if you have closed any POAMs. We identify a select core set of controls based off of your baseline and your ConMon schedule. that allows for assessment of those controls on an annual basis so that you can maintain your certification or your authorization and assessment activities as required by the FedRAMP 3 PAO, FedRAMP PMO, and you maintain and provide that information. All of those activities, all of the evidence and minimum reports are collected, gathered, and posted on the OMB Max portal, which is where all of the documents are required for continuous monitoring and access activities by the FedRAMP PMO, as well as the specific customers that may support them. As you go through your different assessment phases and cycles, and once you are in the ConMon activity, you do post your monthly POAM reports so that all of your vendors and customers know exactly what the status is of any open findings. If you close anything or introduce anything, all of those artifacts have been posted and managed and maintained within that centralized repository. So that is a nice little overview of the types of buckets of services that we provide here at MindPoint and kind of get you through the different phases for FedRAMP compliance. Thanks.